Alright, so when you're using this, it's really handy to be able to use your camera like so in order to manipulate what you're seeing. And using these tools up here, you can show your film gate, your resolution. You can, this is the size of the image that you're going to be render. This is your resolution gate. Your film gate is a little bit different. You can have a gate mask that it blurs out all of those other elements. Now, one of the things I want you to also be able to do is to go into your Maya users guide and use whatever version of Maya you're using, and you can look and do a search and look up things about the camera and read about it. What's focal length, and learn about focus and blur, and learn more in-depth information about it and more in-depth details about the camera and what it will do. Oh, another thing I want you to see is what's called the near clip plane and the far clip plane. This is something else I want you to see. And so your camera, when you go into the camera setting, or you select your camera and you go to the attributes for it, we have a near clip plane and a far clip plane. Now, the near clip plane has to do with how close you can get to the object that you're looking at before it kind of the camera will kind of give you it'll kind of clip it, meaning it won't allow you to see it anymore. So if I had a value of 2, I could only get up to 2. Notice how that when I get this close, if I go any closer, it starts to clip into my object. So now I'm going through the object now, which is actually pretty cool. But with a clipping plane of a very small value, a near clip plane, like of 0.01, then I can get incredibly close to my object without starting there. That's how close I can get, and I actually go through the geometry of it. So I can get very close. Another example is this clipping plane. So if I have a far clip plane, or a clipping plane, this is 10,000. If I had a clipping plane of 1,000, then that's how close I have to be when something comes into view. So I usually have a pretty high clipping plane, so I can see pretty far away. So I can go 10,000 units away and still see. So here I am at 10,000. So if I increase this maybe to 15,000, I can see my object again from a very great distance. And so that's what clipping plane is, and that's what near plane clipping plane is. Far clip plane and near clip plane. Okay. Some of these other things we don't get into too much because there's stuff that you're going to, stuff you kind of have to read about, and it's relationships. Now, depth of field can be turned on and turned off by adding this. And if you turn it on, you're going to notice that when things render, and I'm not going to render this because it takes a while, because this is a pretty heavy scene, it will blur things. And there's I have a whole video about just that as well. Now, another thing that you can do, and I'm going to create a new scene just so you can see this. I'm going to create a new scene. And I'm going to talk about one thing that you might find. What you might find is this environment setting. Alright, so here I am back in my scene. Now I'm going to display my grid so you can kind of see where I'm at. Now, one of the things that you'll see is that when you create an object, let's say I'm just going to put a cube here in my environment. And I'm going to put a plane underneath it, and I'll scale it up to give you kind of a sense of what's going on. And if I look at this from the side, I'm going to raise my cube up a little. Alright, so I'm going to pretend like I got it sitting on this grid. Now, when I render this when I render this as is, it shouldn't take very long. Alright, so notice that I get the plane and I get the cube and I have the black background. By default, that's what the black background is. But if I choose my camera here, I'm going to select my camera and I go to environment. The background color is black. Well, I can change that to any color that I want. Say I wanted to make the background a blue color. I can say OK, and then whenever I render this, the background is blue. Now, it's actually transparent. It's actually just, it's still infinitely, there's nothing actually there. The white represents where something actually is, and the back is just kind of a color you can choose from. But it does help set things apart. If you want to have a nice, clean, white background, you can do so by just changing that background to white. There's also some other things that you can experiment with. And one of those is turning on and turning off motion blur and those kind of things. But that's something that we'll worry about when we get to animating things, and that's not for a while. And so for now, I just want you to know some of these basic tools and utilize those and practice with those. And that's pretty much what I want you to experiment with for now. All right. So that's some camera basics, things that you can use while you're beginning to work on your very first scene in Maya.